My name is Jim Kemmer, and I am the Restorative Justice Coordinator for Southern Grafton County. The Cady Restorative Justice Program is a nonprofit, voluntary, court diversion program that is community-based and solutions-centered. It's accredited by the state of New Hampshire. It works with youngsters from the ages of 12 to 18 who have committed a crime, are first-time offenders, and do not pose a threat to themselves or to others. The Restorative Justice Program recognizes that crime affects people and the relationships shared by those people. Relationships between the offender and their parents, the offender and the victim, and the offender and the community. It addresses the question, who has been harmed and what needs to be done to repair that harm and rebuild the damaged relationships.
Hi, my name is Jess Dutel. I work on the campus of Plymouth State University in our Office of Community Impact. And for 12 years, I served as the Executive Director of the PEMI Youth Center downtown. I'm still a board member with the organization and very much involved because the work that happens at the Youth Center has captured my heart in so many ways. And in one way, when we partner with restorative justice, I can see how deeply impactful that work is for our youth participants. So I will and have in the past received a call from restorative justice about a youth who needs to get involved in the community, maybe has some community service interest, and they have come down to the youth center and engaged in our community. The youth center provides empowerment programming during after-school hours for middle school and high school youth, and our components include arts and recreation, STEM activities, mentorship, homework help, and so many other aspects of what it means to be at the PEMI Youth Center. And so the restorative justice youth have come in and helped with program prep, gotten materials ready, organized the space, they've helped cook dinners, and really played an integral role of the youth center and what happens there.
Hi, I'm Julie Flynn. I'm the principal of Plymouth Elementary School. Plymouth Elementary School is a kindergarten through grade 8 school, and we have been fortunate to partner with the Restorative Justice Program here in Plymouth. We are really fortunate to have a system that is about learning from our mistakes as opposed to punishments. We have a great partnership with the Plymouth Police Department and our school and the Restorative Justice Program. Some of our more specific experiences have been very personalized. Again, it's a system that really meets students and families and our community where they're at. So I'm thinking of one student who really struggles on many different levels, understanding how behaviors impact the community, the school community and beyond, making some criminal mistakes. And to reach him, his mentor realized that he had a strong interest in pets. He really responded to working with dogs and cats, and it ended up being a real opening, a real gateway to becoming, having a realization of kindness and a way to reach him as well. So it's approaches like that as opposed to, say, going down the criminal pathway for students who are in a middle school environment that I believe it's a great investment, a great long-term investment in our students.
Hi, my name is Tim Tyler, and I'm the retired Restorative Justice Coordinator at Cady. I was involved in running the program for 8 years, and I worked with over 150 youth and helped guide them through the program. There are many cases that stand out in my mind that were special, but I'm going to talk to you briefly about one that I had. We deal with youth from ages 10 all the way up to 18, and we actually did have 3 or 4 10-year-olds who came in the program, which is younger than what we would normally deal with. But there's one particular case with a 10-year-old I'd like to share with you that was a special case for us. In this particular instance, this young man lived in a blended family. It was mom, stepdad, and 3 other brothers. Lived in an apartment here in the local community. And he had a real dad who lived out of state. And He used to go visit him, but State of Vermont had more or less indicated that they wanted to do an in-home visit, so not to have him come visit until they did that. Well, he got a little frustrated with that because he wasn't able to go do his visits. Well, so frustrated that on a pouring rainy day, he decided to try to hitch a ride off on Teddy Mountain Highway with no shoes on, no less, and actually, luckily, the local PD kind of picked him up and got him back home. Final part of his program was to actually put on a demonstration of what he had done. And so with the support of his parents, some of his school teachers were invited, and 2 police officers from local PD came, and he actually put on a presentation with the dog Holly, walking through cones, directing the dog through cones, doing different activities where he would give a command and the dog would respond. It was a very positive experience. I know Mom was almost in tears, so pleased about what had happened. Teachers are impressed, the police officers were impressed, and he completed the program successfully. There were a couple follow-up activities that worked really well with him. They invited him to come back and actually read to dogs one night at the White Mountain College for Pets. And it was a sight to see when he was sitting on the floor and he had a group of dogs and owners around him, and he was reading, I believe, a Christmas story. And that was a challenge for him because he had some reading challenges, but he was sitting there and he actually did it with 2 different groups. And I know he also had a real positive experience when that dog visited the youth center one day, because he was actually there, and people were amazed when that dog saw him that that dog responded to him saying, "Holly sit," or "Holly bow," and the dog would sit and the dog would bow. So it ended up being a really positive experience for him, a good experience for everyone around him. Certainly the school was pleased with the progress that was made, and he successfully completed his requirement for restorative justice.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here to talk about such a rewarding program for me to be a part of. The restorative justice program and the pet therapy connection has worked out very well for at least 3 of the students that we've worked with in the most recent years. Students from 10 to 16 years of age have been collaborative partners with us in training animals to be a little bit more friendly pet-assisted therapy work-wise. So being able to show some skills that the students have developed with the dogs in this particular case, and to be able to share that knowledge with the community around them. So really taking the individual child, looking at what their needs and their strengths are, capitalizing on those strengths with working with pet-assisted therapy, dog training, grooming skills, and then using those skills out to the general public to give something back to the community as a whole. And to be able to have that student be a positive part of the community again. Several of the students that we've worked with have come in to the restorative justice program really not feeling very great about themselves as individuals, as students, as members of the community. And through this positive work with pet therapy and the owners of these pets, they've really been able to get a greater sense of self-esteem, self-confidence, and achievement with working with dogs and other people.
Hi, I'm Deb Narrow, Executive Director of Cady, Communities for Alcohol and Drug-Free Youth, and I'd like to say thank you to PSU Enactus team and Dr. Bonnie Bichard for selecting Cady as a recipient of this year's proceeds. We're truly grateful for that support. Restorative justice is a strength-based intervention that has made a powerful difference in the lives of over 200 children and youth in our region. We know that science tells us that the adolescent brain continues to develop until the mid-20s. So it's understandable when kids make decisions that put themselves and others at risk. The restorative justice process gives first-time youth offenders a second chance to make things right and an opportunity to change direction. When a juvenile offense happens, our community partners, whether that be the police, the schools, or the court, make referrals to restorative justice. And restorative justice is an age-appropriate developmental accountability model that keeps kids connected to the community rather than having them enter the juvenile justice system. We have seen that in many cases, difficult economic circumstances, adverse childhood experiences, including trauma, fragile families, struggling with addiction, incarceration, and homelessness, isolate our most vulnerable children and put them at even greater risk. Isolation is a serious risk factor. So what we do is we build connections for our kids to new opportunities, mentors, treatment when appropriate, and all of this is designed to put our kids back on track.
The process is pretty straightforward. A juvenile commits a crime and is referred to the restorative justice program by either school administrators, local police departments, or by the courts themselves. The juvenile and their family meet with the RJ coordinator to discuss the specifics and expectations of the program and answer any questions. An intake is completed to assess eligibility, needs, and strengths of the juvenile. The offender then attends a restorative justice panel with 3 or 4 community members and the victim to develop a reparative agreement contract that identifies what can be done to repair the harm and that harm that was caused by their actions. It could include letters of apology, financial restitution, community service, or any other activities that are deemed appropriate by the panel. The agreement is designed to be non-punitive and restore the damaged relationships among all parties. Generally, within 3 months, the offender has successfully completed all elements of the contract and there is no juvenile conviction. At the end of the process, it's hoped that the victim has had a voice as a valued member of the reparative panel and has been able to experience closure. The youth was held accountable for their actions, understand how those actions have affected others, and accepts responsibility, also understanding the power of choice and consequences.